at the White House, where just moments ago, President Trump wrapped a meeting with top national security officials, including Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. On the agenda, Venezuela. It comes after the president issued an ominous warning this weekend that the country's airspace should be considered closed. And as the U.S. military has assembled a fighting force in the region, 15,000 strong. But there is already intense controversy over the limited military action the administration has already taken. Those deadly strikes on alleged drug boats, 21 since September 2nd. All told, the strikes have killed 83 alleged drug traffickers. One engagement in particular is drawing intense scrutiny, even accusations of war crimes, and fresh bipartisan investigations in Congress. That includes the Republican-led Armed Services Committees in both the House and the Senate. Several reports state that Secretary Pete Hegseth himself ordered the killing of all survivors of the first boat strike on September 2nd. At that point, those survivors were reportedly in the water and posed no threat. If this is true, that could amount to a war crime. Hegseth first denied he gave orders for the second strike to kill survivors, then posted a joke about the strikes. But by this afternoon, the White House confirmed that, in fact, there was a second strike. But it was ordered by an admiral, not by Hegseth.
Raleigh worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
The White House went on to reiterate its stance that these strikes are fully legal because they're against narco-terrorists who the president has designated as foreign terrorists. However, even the Pentagon's own war manual clearly states second strikes to kill survivors are illegal. Aside from the legal issues, there are also the concerns about whether Trump is going to issue strikes on Venezuelan soil and depose the socialist dictatorship of President Nicolas Maduro. Shortly before he essentially declared a no-fly zone over Venezuela, Trump reportedly gave President Maduro an ultimatum. Sources told the Miami Herald that Trump told Maduro over the phone he could flee safely from the country with his family, but only if he agrees to resign first. Let's get reaction now from retired Navy Vice Admiral John Fozzie Miller, former commander of the U.S. Fifth Fleet, and retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancion is a senior advisor for the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Great to have both of you here. Colonel, I'm actually going to start with you because you wrote about this huge buildup that we have just off the coast of Venezuela. You said in this that we're like an archer who's drawn his bow, and that we either have to launch soon or stand down, that all these battleships and all these troops cannot just sit off the coast of Venezuela indefinitely.
Well, that's right, particularly the aircraft carrier. It's unusual to have an aircraft carrier in the Caribbean. It's been pulled from Europe. It's supposed to return home about Christmas time. There are other regions that would like to have this aircraft carrier. It just can't sail in circles waiting for something to happen. You've also had these events like the no-fly zone over Venezuela. You've had the cancellation of leave for service members in the area. These things cannot continue. Either the United States needs to strike, which I think is highly likely, or it needs to stand down.
Admiral, this has been quite a buildup. It's the biggest military presence we've had in this region since the Cuban Missile Crisis in the early 1960s. Here's how the Wall Street Journal editorial page put it today. The president has assembled an invasion-sized naval force in the Caribbean. If Trump withdraws his flotilla with Maduro still in power, the Venezuelan strongman will have won. The world will see that Maduro was able to stand up to American power. Do you see it that way? Is it... I mean, they seem to be saying we've built it up so big that if we don't do something and we just leave, that it will be a victory for Maduro.
Well, I think we've got the military force in place where we are putting a great deal of pressure on Maduro. And I think he continues to feel that pressure. I don't know that we can't leave, but I also don't know that we have to leave right away. One of the nice things about operating in the Caribbean It's something we're not used to doing, as you mentioned, but it's close to home. So if we need to rotate ships in and out of the area, it's relatively simple for us to do that, either from the West Coast or the East Coast. So we can maintain a presence there for a period of time. The point's well taken that when we're there, we're not someplace else. But the priority right now is in the Caribbean. That's part of the homeland defense. And I think we can keep the force there and keep the pressure on Maduro until he finally understands what he needs to do to get the pressure off.
Admiral, the White House this afternoon, meantime, confirmed that there was, in fact, a second strike in that very first bombing of an alleged drug boat. This is after there were several reports this weekend that Pete Hegseth gave a verbal order to kill everyone on board after the first missile hit, and there were 2 survivors clinging to the wreckage in the water. The White House is saying today, this afternoon, that it was Admiral Frank Bradley who gave that order. Is this something Admiral Bradley would do on his own, or was he instructed to do the second strike by Pete Hegseth?
I think a number of people are looking at what's happened here. The military operates under very strict rules of engagement. We follow the law of armed conflict all of the time. When something goes wrong, and it looks like in this particular case maybe something did go wrong, it needs to be investigated. I think it is being investigated. If there was some wrongdoing, then there will need to be some accountability, and I think that's going to happen.
Colonel, President Trump said that he would not have wanted that second strike on the boat. He said Pete Hegseth did not order the deaths of these 2 men. But now we have lawmakers in both the House and the Senate Armed Services Committee who are launching investigations. The chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner, said, quote, he's a Republican. He said, quote, if this occurred, it would be a very serious and illegal act. Do you agree?
It's hard to say whether it would be illegal, but it clearly is different from attacking a boat that's carrying drugs. That's a threat to the United States, although even attacking that without prior warning is controversial. But attacking survivors in the water, that feels different. You're attacking defenseless people in the water. And it appears that the military changed its policy. That is, in this first attack, they killed the survivors, but in a later attack, they let the survivors be rescued.
No, so, you raise a good point. The protocol changed after that first strike when they did a double tap, which means you fire 1 missile, you blow up the boat, then you fire a second missile to blow up the wreckage of the boat and the 2 survivors who were floating in the water. The protocol was changed after that first attack.
It certainly looks that way. Now, the White House spokesperson did not say that was the case, sort of equivocated on that question, but looking at the evidence, that appears to be the case. And it's probably because the military pushed back and said that they were uncomfortable with this second strike.
Admiral, the Law of War Manual, the Pentagon, uses the shooting of shipwrecked survivors as an example of clearly illegal orders that should be disobeyed. It reads on page 1117, orders to fire upon the shipwrecked would be clearly illegal, end quote.
If that's what happened, then I do think that there's going to need to be some accountability because we don't shoot unarmed people that are no longer able to defend themselves. That's not just good policy, it's the law. But I also think there's another discussion that needs to happen here, which really talks to the whole idea of the strikes that we've been conducting against the narco-terrorists. We need to have a policy discussion and decide is that the best way to move forward? Does that get us towards the goals that we're trying to get, whether those goals are to stop illegal drugs from coming into the United States or whether they're there to put pressure on Maduro? Either way, right. Is that the best policy? And if not, what policy might bring some other players into the equation that would help us?
Yeah, a more robust discussion of what exactly the end goal is here. We don't know yet. With this huge amassing of all these troops and battleships off the coast of Venezuela. This meeting just ended a few moments ago at the White House, so maybe we will hear more word either tonight or tomorrow morning. Vice Admiral John Miller, Colonel Mark Cancian, thank you both so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.